Good afternoon, good morning, and welcome to the second of our Blue Talks here on Thursday, the 6th of June. As I mentioned, we have a couple of sessions on IoT today, and our next one is from Legino, a startup in Israel that has got a rather unique value proposition for the container industry. And we're going to be hearing from Shachar in about 1 second, and after that we're going to reveal which company he's decided has won a competition, a very unique competition, to have these tracking devices, IoT-enabled container shipping company is how he's describing it, to really move this IoT in the shipping and, in this case, across the whole logistics chain, bringing it into reality. So, Shachar, the floor is yours.
Clicker? Over there. Great. So let's start with a little teaser trailer, shall we?
In a world of data darkness, one company is bringing in the light. The quest for the first digital shipping company has begun. The search for the one true light bringer. The shipping company who will bring Contopia. Who will be the first digital shipping company? Are you ready?
So this thing has been pumping up in the media for quite a while, a few months now. But let's start from the beginning. What I want to talk to you about is this. Shipping containers, big boxes with valuable cargo, which are in fact the veins of global economy. $6 trillion worth of cargo traveling in those, more than 110 container trips per year. Nobody knows what's going on. Everybody is asking, what the heck is on with my container? Will it arrive on time? Did someone touch my cargo? Really, no one knows the full story. And it's a huge problem. Hundreds of billions of dollars losses in logistics blindness. This is a car manufacturing plant in Guangzhou in China. Imagine what happens if one of the bolts of the engine of the car doesn't arrive on time. And imagine the implication to the production line. This is crazy, and it's getting crazier by the month, even in marine shipping. It's not the problem of the cargo owners themselves. It's also shipping companies, freight forwarders, insurance, customs, homeland security. They are all blind. So we're Logino, we're a startup from Israel. It's short for Logistic Innovation, and our mission is to apply the Internet of Things to create what we call Contopia. Contopia is a mesh of container and utopia, and it's a term that we use to describe a world where every shipping container is real-time, IoT, connected, providing very valuable data. Now, a utopian world, but let's a little bit talk about the data, what happens if it does happen. So imagine there are 2 ports in the world, Port of Shanghai, Port of Ningbo, the #1 port in the world, and the soon-to-be #1 port in the world. And imagine that they both boast that they have 90% operational efficiency as part of their competition between each other and between other ports. But none of us, maybe one TOS manufacturer would know, but they can't reveal the data, would know what exactly is the quality of service of these ports. No one knows. But imagine the implications, because we have these spies, these big container spies going in and out. We know that one of them is, let's say, 92%, and the other one is like 72, 73. Imagine the implications of knowing this at these very 2 big and important entities in the world, and now multiply it to every port in the world, every shipping company in the world, every trucking company in the world, every terminal. It's the Google of logistics, what we're creating. So we've created a brain for a container in a very unique technology that measures temperature, location, the works, but also has unique technology that measures the vibration and the acoustics of the container, to understand things like whether the container's been lifted, or are they people talking next to the container, or has it undergone something irregular? One of the best features that we're working on, Solus VGM weighing just by vibration and acoustics, being piloted right now. And because we use a standard part of the container called the container vent, we are actually the only ones in the world that already have an existing infrastructure to install these things called the depots. They already know how to do this. And this is coupled with predictive analytics software, which is in itself super advanced to really enable Contopia for the shippers. So we amassed lots of use cases for this data. For example, cyber seals. The panelists are going to talk about this. We're replacing the physical seals of the container with software transmissions. Nothing even physical. Black box for containers, for insurance, scaleless weight measurement, operations efficiency, wonderful things that we can do there. Predictive analytics. I mean, amazing stuff that needs Contopia to happen, and we don't have currently any shipping company that says, hey, we're going to create our entire, because it works, we need like a fleet to do this. And no shipping company has said, hey, we want to do this, we want to do the whole fleet. Everybody's piloting right now, but we need the real deal. So if none exists, we decided that we're going to create one. So 6 months ago, exactly 6 months ago, we issued a competition between all mid to small shipping companies and told them, hey, if you prove to us that you're worthy, that you really want to go forward with the Contopia, you want to be completely transparent, you want to go into the digital age, you want to serve as a platform for marine innovation currently unavailable, then prove to us that you're worthy. We're going to take your container fleet and convert it to smart containers. Because our mission is to prove that smart containers are much, much, much more profitable than dump containers, even though they have a little setup cost at the start. So that's our mission, and this is what we're creating. We've gathered wonderful companies. Some of them you're going to see on the stage as Contopia partners, and we decided to build this. We issued the competition. We got 17 shipping companies applied. It was hard, shipping companies. 4 of them we decided to shortlist, and 1 of them is here right now, and you're going to witness them as the first digital shipping company, first true digital shipping company that's going to go 100% smart containers for the first time in history. This will be announced at the end of the panel to keep you on the edge. But the panel is interesting as well. So that's about it. Think outside the container. Think Contopia and find out who the winning shipping company will be at 12:30. Thank you so much.
Cha-cha. Now, as he was talking, there was a number of partners with you that you're working with in this. And when you start talking, and we heard this in the previous session, a lot of this doesn't happen without a lot of collaboration, without a lot of partnerships, and without a good, solid picture of what's going on in the supply chain. So what I'm going to do with this panel session is I'm going to invite the panelists first just to come up onto the stage, and then I'll explain a little bit about what we're trying to do here with this panel session, because I want to get a little understanding about the collaborative nature that we see between the companies that we've got on the stage. But also I want to examine a little bit about how we see IoT in the total supply chain. So I'm going to actually start here with Professor Rolf Nys, because you are an expert, without a doubt. Show them the book.
Container logistics.
He wrote the
yes,
book.
I'm a professor now, but I worked for several years in the shippers industry. So I'm a bit a guest speaker here, but I always work together with the maritime
And one of the reasons I wanted you here, please, is because I wanted to look at the total supply chain here, because when we're talking about logistics, what he's going to do is put a piece of IoT-enabled technology into thousands of containers to enable a level of oversight never seen before. So from your perspective, when you talk about and think about efficiency in the supply chain, how do you see that kind of visibility having an impact?
Well, From a shipper's perspective, it was always of importance to have such a visibility. And we were really walking in the dark here. And that is something which really has to change. So we were always arguing and saying, we need to have visibility, we need to have new services coming, and to really fill that gap in our own supply chain. And we need data. I mean, we've just saw in the film here. We need to have those data. We need to have those data for our internal planning. We need to be really acting directly to what is happening, not to build any inventory, to really have a seamless flow through our supply chain. And therefore, we need to have that visibility.
And do you see that this digitalization is seriously enabling that goal?
Well, digitalization is definitely going in that direction. Yeah, I would see it from mainly 3 angles. So the first is really come up with new services. Yeah, and we are talking about booking platforms, things like that. That's a must for a shipper's perspective. The second one, get your core business right. That is the whole discussion about blockchain, documentation flows, and so on and so on. Again, with a link to the shipper side. The third one, which is very often forgotten, is the one to build the foundation. You need to adapt the organization, you need to think about adapting processes, all that stuff. So those 3 items, and digitalization is definitely driving in that direction.
I'm going to come to LR here, because I know that you, Elena, you've been involved with this digitalization process a little bit. Yes. When he talks about the sort of the needs there, it's not specifically digitalization, but it's a lot of efficiency, I would say there. From your perspective, how do you see digitalization creating that efficiency?
That's a very interesting question. So what we have seen so far within LR, we've been deploying brand new digital innovative solutions for our clients. And in order to create that efficiency, you really need to understand the problem that the client has. So I cover EMEA myself, so I go to talk to our clients to find out what their challenges are, what keeps them up at night, and how we can help them to resolve these challenges. So first of all, as I mentioned, you need to understand what they are looking for. Second, you need to understand, or you need to have in-house capability to create these solutions, and sometimes that can be challenging. So we have, for example, 250 people within our digital innovation department. So we are capable to come up with different algorithms, of course, we have data scientists. We are able to really resolve client challenges, but sometimes we are also looking for potential partnerships. So in order to create that efficiency, you need to have the collaboration. You have to have an ecosystem of your in-house capability, brand new partnerships, like for example, what Contopia has been creating. It's not on the market. How we can collaborate together to create, to give the best possible innovation solutions to our clients, and help them to be more efficient. And at the end of the day, it's all about decreasing operational costs. That's what the clients are looking for.
And Gennaro, from Marlink's perspective, we heard a little bit about IoT, about connectivity from Inmarsat in the last session. But from Marlink's perspective, perhaps you can elaborate a little bit about, first of all, your partnership with Ligino, and what kind of services you see having, by necessity, to evolve to create this, the transparency.
Yeah, absolutely. Ligino is very much about smart container. And what we are doing, we have a key strategic and structural project in our company. Marlink is the leading VSAT connectivity provider in the market, the leading ICT company, but actually is to reposition and start from our connectivity core business to extend it with the digital layers of enablement services, where we do need very much an ecosystem of partners and applications, and Ligino can be certainly one of them. Why? Because of course, what we are trying to do is to look it from a perspective where IoT actually, basically you have 3 big buckets or 3 big challenges, no? Of course, one is the sensor part, and actually still you have a multiple systems, sensors, suppliers. Standardization is still an issue, same as with the technology at some extent. But the most critical, the fundamental part, is really the data remote access. So IoT involves connecting and transporting data from ship to the shore in a secure, reliable, real-time way, making it available in through Mimics dashboard in the KPIs that are needed to take action. And this is where we actually can cooperate with applications provider, with digital leaders, also across industries, what we are doing, with O&Ms, with, I would say, the entire ecosystem of innovation, because it really is very much about the power of collaboration. Logino is very innovative and has some unique selling point, I would say, in the smart container part. And what we can do together is perhaps basically 3 use cases. One is about container data outside through the satellite to shore. That is what I've just mentioned. But there are also use cases in the area of connecting the container critical data to the people, to the crew on board, and to enable, and in this bucket you can find a number of applications, including personal assistants, smartwatches, and so on. And then thirdly, last but not least, and this is also where we are engaging with automation and smart ship and the O&M leaders in the industry, is connecting the container to the automation part of the ship. So we have the container brain, but then we need the complete bridge and link these to the shore. That is where we try to play a fundamental role. We have an open platform to do that. This is quite unique in the market, and we are looking from this integrated perspective to deliver things like improve the vessel operational efficiency, navigational improvement, fuel consumption reduction, container data collect, and so on, but also safety and regulation, crew well-being, and also client satisfaction to make possible, for instance, in sectors like cruise or oil and offshore, to have the same level of ICT facility that they are used to have ashore.
That implies also, when you enter the satisfaction side of things, that the shippers' demands are really being met. And do you feel that the shippers' demands are being met these days?
I mean, my question would be, are you integrating any shippers in that concept?
That's the ambition. I mean, the real problem that we have, and also talking with the CEO of several ship management companies, ship owners, what they see, they need a fleet-wide platform, and they need to integrate fragmented application systems, sensors, data information, data flows that they have on board. So unified platform is very important to us. And what we are also doing is to bring the cloud, the power of to extend the cloud to the remote operations that are the ships for our customers in a way that we can really create an open platform, an enablement platform, but really integrated, enabling also third party to interact easily through IoT topics, through brokers in a very smart manner, and creating an intelligent platform, an intelligent edge. This is what we are working around.
It definitely sounds it's going in the right direction.
Thank you.
And that is something which is missing, absolutely.
Yeah, thanks.
And Scott, your involvement with Logino from Navis's perspective, what made you want to find a company like Logino to partner with?
Well, first of all, I had to lose my luggage in order to really understand the value of knowing where assets are. So as you can see,
is that your way of saying this is why I dressed down for the day?
That's why I dressed down today, but I did it to try to make a point. I've been spending a lot of time in the last 24 hours trying to understand exactly where my luggage is and when it will arrive. And the luggage handling systems are far more advanced than the container visibility systems in the world. So I'm here to show you that I wouldn't be wearing a San Francisco Giants jacket. The San Francisco Giants recently lost 9 games in a row, so I would have worn a different jacket if I had had the wisdom to know that my luggage was going to be lost. But again, let's look at the basic use case that we're talking about. We're talking about Logino outfitting not just an ocean carrier or shipping company, but an end-to-end logistics provider so that every container in their fleet will be a smart container. And that really creates a tipping point because smart containers are entering our world these days, but they're entering in a very limited way at a slow pace. But when you have one end-to-end logistics provider with every container tagged, suddenly you can provide shipper visibility throughout the door-to-door experience. You can reposition empties much more effectively. So there's all kinds of operational improvements that you can make for that end-to-end logistics provider who is going to win Contopia. Now, I'll also let you know, just as a teaser, that the Contopia trophy is also in my luggage. So I hope you'll all hope with me that it arrives literally in the next 15 minutes.
Ooh.
It has. Okay.
When you look at digitalization, and we're talking here about digitalization of the shipping industry, of the whole transport chain,
Yes.
of ports, of road haulage, of the whole process, how do you see the levels of connectivity between the different parts of that chain? Because traditionally, the shipping industry is the shipping industry. Don't take my data, it's my data.
That's right.
And I've seen the ports get on board with data, but it's, hey, this is the port operational perspective. And then there's the road haulage companies, which are very fragmented, just like the shipping industry, and they don't tend to sort of be too collaborative in terms of where things are going. So how, in this very competitive world, are we going to see digitalization become effective if we can't trust each other commercially? Do we need to trust each other commercially to get this utopia that Shachar is trying to achieve?
That's a great question. So what we have seen so far? So I think first of all, we have different regulatory frameworks around us. So in order to share data, we are in Europe. We need to oblige to GDPR and other regulatory frameworks. But what we have seen so far, and I've been working on a number of initiatives within LR. We are running different types of pilots to start with, where the companies from a similar industry, shipping or drilling and so on, they are sharing the data that are anonymized for the best outcome. So what I think, or what the starting point is, so of course you need the trust, you need to anonymize the data, and you need to have a common goal. So and there have been a number of initiatives that are currently running and are available on the market within shipping industry. We need to understand that how crucial it is for the companies to share the data. Of course, it's in the principle the data has to be anonymized. But at the end of the day, what we are looking for is the advantage that the analytics, the artificial intelligence, the big data is going to bring to the industry itself. So that's what we need to understand. And I think the companies, shipping companies, other companies, are understanding that there is a need to start to share the data in order to be more competitive.
Is consolidation that we see in the container shipping industry helping here, or is it going to hinder? Are we going to end up with two continents or two or three different continents of completely different sets of data, or are we going to see?
Well, yeah, that might happen. But let me start with answering the first question. I really think consolidation is an outcome of what we've seen in the last decade, which is about the real difficult economical situation we had. And that was, in my eyes, really, of course, pushing in new ideas. They simply had to react. Yeah? And that was new. And I mean, if you compare it with other logistics industries, the maritime industry is far behind. It still is, but we see, and we've seen here today, there are so many solutions now on the table, and it's really, really going in the right direction.
But do you see that container logistics is going to become this unified solution?
Well, there is a danger that we will come up with different standards. I think the good thing is what we've just heard, that the big the big liners, the big liner shipping companies are now moving to one standard in digitalization. Yeah? And that is, I think, setting the scene.
Scott.
A comment on that. So one of the things, so first of all, Navis provides operational systems across the global container supply chain. So we operate container terminals, we provide ship stowage systems, collaborative systems between ocean carriers and logistics providers. And what we see with many of our major customers like Maersk, like Dubai Ports World, and others is they increasingly want to become end-to-end logistics providers. So I think the key is not to try to collect everyone's data and figure out how to share everyone's data. That's the beauty of Contopia. You find an end-to-end logistics provider. In the case of the one we'll announce, it's smaller, medium-sized, and so it's practical to really outfit the entire fleet. But over time, as Maersk, APMT, and Damco come together to become an end-to-end logistics provider, as Dubai Ports World expands their services, then they would love to become members of Contopia too, right? To outfit the entire network, and then it's their data providing benefit to them. So that's the beauty of the Contopia use case.
But isn't that creating silos still?
It is, and those silos can eventually come together through open standards and things, but we get into a chicken and egg problem where as long as nobody's willing to share all the data, you don't make much progress. At least this jumpstarts progress.
Yeah. Would you agree with that, Gennaro?
I do agree. I do believe that certainly there are silos in this moment. There are fragmented applications, connected, misleading information sometimes, with many discrepancies. And this, of course, reflects in a certain still inefficiency. But if you look from a different angle, and if we have, from a broader perspective, we see how there are several forces, technological, industry evolution, new entrants. Think on what Amazon and Alibaba follows are trying to do in the shipping and logistic and supply chain sectors, that and also the technology roadmap where we and other companies are working actively, I mean, to evolve towards future-proof multi-network, hybrid connectivity that is our traditional DNA, but will really enable, together with the open platform that I mentioned before, the possibility to standardize, to collect any data from many sources and put all that together, because I mentioned to you also the competing forces, the new entrants, that mean also that the ship owners and the ship managers that develop a technology application solution in their turn, also to differentiate themselves or to keep the leading edge, to become more efficient, to take better technical decisions, operational decisions, or to become more competitive for ship management in the way they become the technical management, the ship technical management of choice for their own customers. And this is where we have to try to make all that, creating the convergence of these smart connectivity, that is our core, and I would say a smart shipping environment together with the ecosystem of partners.
But Scott, what you said a minute ago was quite interesting, because you referenced two of your customers, but one is, you said both of them want to have total supply chain oversight, but one is a shipping company and the other one's a port. That must be, all of a sudden now we've got ports and shipping companies competing with each other here, haven't we? Is that going to create confusion? Is it going to be a problem? Or do you disagree?
Is that really competition? I don't see that as a real kind of competition.
Well, I think it is. I mean, as CMA buys a third-party logistics provider or Maersk integrates their operations, really what they're doing is they're providing, for me, what the customer wants, end-to-end logistics provision. What's not happening is that 5 companies managing different silos of that journey, not communicating with each other, are no longer providing that. So I think there is some competitive forces there. But the beauty for the ultimate end user is they get more ownership and accountability within the complete container journey.
But does that not create limitations, though, if one company has total end-to-end oversight? They'll say, right, this is our supply chain.
Yeah, I mean, it does, but Federal Express and Amazon are examples of companies that have been very proprietary and very end-to-end for a long time. And every time I receive a FedEx shipment or an Amazon shipment, I know exactly where it is and exactly when it's going to arrive. So I'm not saying the global shipping industry will evolve exactly like that, but directionally there are benefits of these proprietary networks.
Yep.
And do you see that from your perspective, from LR's perspective here, because as a traditional sort of involvement in the shipping company, shipping sort of oversight, safety, etc., and you're expanding the sort of business value that LR as a company can offer, do you see that these kind of solutions are increasingly becoming complex for the traditional shipping companies' perspective as they, as Scott said, as companies broaden their approach, they're going end to end. It must be very complex, particularly when they're talking digitalization, or is it simplifying?
Right. So where LR is coming from, as you mentioned, we're coming from a traditional maritime society. So if you are a company that has been around from 1760, we've been around for a long time, we need to come up with something new. That's why we have set up the Digital Innovations Department. So our main aim is to make sure that we are offering brand new solution within shipping industry, but we are still working on our traditional services. Or another angle that we are working at, we are trying to combine them. So I'm working closely with our marine and offshore colleagues. We are trying to find out what would be the best solutions to bring to the market for our maritime shipping customers, how we can actually embed digitalization within our traditional offerings and to combine them. So it may become complex, but if you really understand your core services, and you understand what you are trying to achieve within digitization, you really are able to make great solutions and really open eyes, I think, for your clients that you've been working with.
And we hear a lot about different kinds of digital tools, blockchain, and we've been talking about IoT, and well, we are still talking about IoT. Are these creating value, or is it still very much the promise of value?
They definitely add value to the benefits that we offer to our clients. And I have seen numerous use cases, case studies with different ROIs where we were able to actually not just promise to the client that we will be able to deliver, but these are tangible benefits that the solutions were able to bring on the market and to specific clients as well. So it's sometimes, if you are starting, of course, if you have a brand new solution on the market, it's very difficult to measure the ROI, but you need a starting point somewhere. So once you have a use case, once you do 1-2 case studies and so on, so you will have a clearer approach and a clearer picture what you can actually bring in terms of benefits and efficiency for the clients.
So also with the levels of technical sophistication, maybe this is a question for you, Rolf, because I wanted to look just briefly at the ports and particularly the container terminals. So I know there's been increased levels of automation in some of the terminals around the world. I looked at the UNCTAD report and it listed about 24 or so terminals around the world that are either fully automated or partially automated. The first is a basic question: what is the benefit here of automation of that level? And the second question there is: how does automation of a terminal impact the total supply chain here, or the end-to-end supply chain?
Well, I think first of all, we must distinguish between the regions a little bit. Yeah. Okay. So in Europe, yes, and also in North America, we are really aiming for a high automation degree. Whereas in Asia, it is still a bit depending on which port we are talking. Yeah. In general, I think, as with all other industries, automation is helping in terms of efficiency, in terms of speed, and also in terms of reliability in the meantime. So I'm definitely a fan of it, and I think we can't ignore it. And I think the tendency will be that we will have more automotive solutions available in the near future.
Must be benefit for you, though.
Yeah, so Navis runs container terminals globally, about 300 of them. But of the 30 or so automated terminals, we run about 60% of them. So the big advantage is you have to have perfect data when the machines are going to drive the entire process. So we're talking about remote or automated key cranes, remote vehicles, remote stacking cranes. The inventory has to be perfect, and really you take all the people out of the system, and therefore the data has to be perfect. So as you move towards automation, and it will happen slowly across the globe in the next 10, 20 years, the data will end up being more robust, more detailed, and ultimately can provide the kind of networks with better data. So I think that's a big plus.
And so the container tracking aspect that we're talking about here with Logino plays into that quite nicely.
Yeah, so our focus in this is if you can have a company tag all their containers, then you know where they are along the journey. But what Navis can also provide is operational data that becomes more predictive. Is there a customs hold? When will it be released? Is there a gate appointment? When will the truck show up? So by providing information out of the operational data that isn't just the here and now, but it's predicting the future, then the combination of Contopia and Navis operational systems, which the Contopia winner happens to use across the board, provides a really powerful benefit.
Dinara, do you see this as does this not take some sort of power away from the shipping company, though?
I wouldn't say that, because shipping company, face, how to say, if you look from a value chain perspective, they are much more in a collaboration rather than in a competition environment, and making more efficient certain things end-to-end takes collaboration, because there are many aspects. Think on also the headquarters of shipping companies matter in this, and everything happens. Think on Maersk or CMA CGM and other players like this. Everything happens in the logistics and supply chain segments, no? Because basically also port and headquarters, at the time being, they have a plethora of ERP systems, of application variety, many data sources, and all that forces the different actors in the ecosystem to collaborate. Otherwise, it seems that doesn't happen. And the stake is enormous. You were talking about the benefits that we can already see. But actually, in the same way that shipping have to evolve from from a steel platform, that is what historically is a ship, container ship, to a digital platform, they need also the collaboration of technology company, of smart ship vendors, of application providers, of companies such as Logino, of ports and authorities as well.
It's a lot of players.
There are. Actually, the last mile, I would say, is becoming more and more critical, but it's very much about having not, dishomogeneous, fragmented suppliers of data and information. Data can really become a gold mine, and we can use as an industry, as an ecosystem, the data in much more ways to create value. But this takes open innovation, open platform, and collaboration. That is where we are trying to play a key role. Yeah.
Do you see this, Rolf, I'm asking you this from the sort of the shipper's perspective here. When I go and order something on Amazon, I don't really care how it's going to get there. I just want it to be at my door 24 hours later if I'm that rushed needing it. I don't care how it gets there. From the shipper's perspective, is that holds true from the shipper's perspective, that what they need to do, what they want is to get the goods there just in time as they want for their clients, or is it more nuanced than that?
I think a shipper would like to have the full visibility throughout the whole journey. Yeah, so they want to really know where is a container, and another black hole is really the port so far. Yeah,
in the port.
To react in advance if the container will not arrive. So it's not sufficient for the shipper only to hear it will arrive, like what you said as a customer. They need more information, definitely.
So they can, contingency is what you're talking about. there.
Absolutely. Contingency, inventory, whatsoever. Yeah.
And is digitalization delivering that?
I would think so, and I hope so, and I think so. Absolutely. We've been, I think, in the past few years, we've been seeing a huge digital transformation as such within shipping industry, within other industries as well. And I think the industries are really slowly adapting to this change. So I think we see as we go more positive and tangible results when it comes to digitization as end-to-end solutions.
Good. I'm going to say thank you to our panel here now, and I'm going to hand back over to Mr. Tal. So can we say thank you to our panel?
Thank you.
And Chacha, the floor is yours again, sir.
Great. Thank you so much. Okay, so I guess it's time, right? It's time now, right? A few technical announcements. You're going to see one happy CEO of a shipping company on stage in a very short while. And they're going to talk about their voyage. After I'm going to talk about a little bit about our voyage in this competition. Issue is that this is a Blue Talk, so this is one directional. After the Blue Talk at 1 o'clock, 15 minutes after it closes, we're going up to the press room for floor number 2 for anyone who wants to ask us questions, both us, the partners, the winning shipping company. We're there. This is going to also be streamed live, so if you wanted to grab a hold of us immediately after the win, let's wait for the press conference, and there you can ask us anything that you want. So there was a company out of the 17 to just grab a hold of me at the very first application stage. We issued a website, people had to do applications. And the guy told me, listen, we're going to win this. I mean, I'm getting a phone call from a guy, and then I'm getting an email from a guy, from the same guy, and then I'm getting introduced by my accelerator to a guy, same guy, that says, listen, you really don't understand. I didn't know the shipping company back then. You really don't understand. We're going to win this. So over the past few months where we did the evaluation and everything, we encountered a company that is nothing short of amazing. A very, let's call it niche player, but top at their game, with a very interesting story that I think you'll hear from their CEO going up on stage in a little while, that really made a turnaround while analyzing the entire company. They were by far the most ready company to accept Contopia because they've been through a lot and they have analyzed the company a lot. They've analyzed the market. They know what the market leads. They're super ambitious to put their names on the pages of history, and they're going to make something that no shipping company has ever done, and that is to convert their entire container fleets to smart containers and serve as an innovation platform. I mean, I ran out of words when people ask me, okay, so what's different between this shipping company? And all I'm saying is that while most, or if not all shipping companies, although they declare differently, do this. We want to control the data, we want to be smart, but we'll give you what you want. They do this. And they invite the entire world to come and play at this very unique sandbox that we're creating. So, we're ready. Are we? We are ready. Okay. So without further ado, I want to invite the first digital shipping company CEO on the stage. Wait, not yet. And I want to do this in their native language. So please welcome the first digital shipping company, or as they say in the language of the country that this shipping company is in. A primeira companhia de navegação digital do mundo, and its CEO, Marco Cauduro, from Login Logistica from Brazil. A one?
It's working? Okay. Thank you very much for the opportunity. It's really amazing to be here. Thanks again, Shahar, Hamid, for taking the risk to go in far to our country. We are from Brazil, and we came from a Brazilian company, the only Brazilian shipping company operating the container business in Brazil. We are today, just to give you a sense of the size, we have our revenues around 1.3 billion Brazilian reais, which is around $350 million US dollars. We are generating EBITDA of 250 million Brazilian reais, which is around 65 million US dollars. So it's a very profitable business, but this was not the story 3 years ago. 3 years ago, when I got to this company, it was almost a broken business. We were full loaded of debt without any cash reserves. You might know what the container business went through years ago, but especially our country, Brazil, went through one of the worst recessions in 100 years. So for a business like us with a lot of fixed cost structure, all these economies of scale were so huge, so we almost went out of business. And what was so amazing along this journey, all of the turnaround that we are able to execute over the 3 years, was about the people. Everything that really matters in the end of the day is the people that you have inside the organization. So Luis Godoy, my partner here, who is responsible for this project, he represents one of those people that we have on our team, really passionate about their jobs, really identified with the organization and with the work to survive the organization. So I think here's where the story connects, because once we decide to join this contest, we met two entrepreneurs, very passionate for their idea and really engaged to disrupt the industry and help us to keep transforming our business, but also to transform the whole industry. So what we do, we are a shipping company, but we operate on the cabotage. We move cargo along the coast, along the Brazilian coast, connecting the most important terminals in Brazil and also in Mercosur, Argentina, and Uruguay. But what we really do and what we really understand what we are a logistics integrated operator, okay, a logistics service provider, moving cargo from the door of the client to the door of their interest. So these door-to-door solutions always start with a collect of the cargo in the truck, move to the terminal to our vessels to the terminal again, then to the truck, then to the destination. So there are a lot of touch points, a lot of data being generating, different providers, and in the end of the day, who owns the relationship with the client, who is delivering the value proposition to our clients, it's our company. So we need to find alternatives and solutions to manage the whole chain, to have a clear transparency on the cargo and all of the data, the quality of the cargo, and all of this information, and deliver this to our clients in order that they can monetize or better manage their supply chain needs. So I think our project, of course, we are very pragmatic. We understand that to to being competitive, and we compete with two giants in Brazil. Our two competitors, we are the second largest, but the two other competitors is Maersk and CMA CGM, their local operations there. And of course, they have different scale, different cost structure. So in order to be competitive in this business, we need to be a cost leader. And we know that this technology will help us to minimize costs, to better manage our container fleet. But more than that, I think this project here means a change, a real change in the way that we understand our business. Because now we are putting our clients in the central of everything. Everything that we're gonna do from this point on, it's related to the way that we treat our clients, to the way that we manage and transform the data in information and pack this information and deliver with transparency and accuracy to our clients. So this is a big step to our organization. We are very, very, very excited. And you have the commitment from our board, from the senior leadership in Brazil, and the whole team, Godoy's team in Brazil, is also very dedicated to make this very brilliant, much more than an idea. This is also has a lot of maturity to execute on our operations. So we are not piloting this, we are going all in on that because we trust on the people, we trust on our people, and we are fully committed to transform the experience to our clients in Brazil. So thanks again for the opportunity. I will give the word to Godoy to explain a little bit more.
Hello, thank you very much for your kind words, Shahar, Ami. First of all, I would like to tell a story how I heard for the first time the word Contopia. It was in the beginning of the year, I was in my vacations and I received an email from the CEO with the subject Contopia Factor. I know we shouldn't open emails during your vacation, you are relaxing your family, but you should always open an email from a CEO. So I opened it and I read about it. And when I discovered what means the Contopia Factor and what Logino stands for, it simply blew my mind. I had to talk to Shahar. I wrote him an email immediately. We scheduled a conference call. As soon as I went back to the hotel, and the match was immediate. Our companies are very similar. We are small companies, but we have great ambitions. We want to make an impact, to make a stand, to change the world, to change the industry forever. To have, it's not often that you have the opportunity to be part of something that is a game changer. That's something that you know that is special, that is changing the way we relate with our clients, changing the way we relate with our business, and changing the way you do our work. The Contopia Factor and to have a digital fleet represents exactly that. With better data, with better information, we'll be able to provide different products to our clients that we don't know yet what it is. We'll be able to properly manage our fleet, and we'll be able to deliver a better and way above the average service level to them. With that, we will break barriers. We will move the innovation frontier in the shipping industry forever. So our dumb boxes, as Shahar said, will not be dumb anymore. They will be smart sources of information, data, and more important than that, knowledge. Pioneering is in our Login's DNA since the beginning. We were the first operational terminal to use Navis and Force systems in our terminal in Vila Velha. We were the first Latin America shipping line to use Xvela planning solutions. And now we are very much proud to be the first digital shipping line in the world. It's important, perhaps that seems like a futuristic thing, but it's not. Real data, real information will change the scope of our business. So perhaps you think that's strange, but we come a long way, and you know that with our partners, we'll change the world. We, as Marco said, we passed for our rough times. We faced rough sea in the past, a big company, corporate structuring, and you learn something, that no company thrives alone. So we know that we have to be able to work with good people and to be partnered with Logino. We know that it's a company that we can inspire of. So the adventure is not ending, it's only continuing, so I invite you all on board. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. I think we are available for the Q&A in the in the other hall. Do you have any more time?
Well, if you've got the Q&A in the other hall, we can just move up to the other hall.
Okay.
I think that'd be the best thing.
Thanks again,
Good.
everyone.
Lovely. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And congratulations. Thank you. Thank you.